Earlier, we were reporting on the actions taken by the Lagos state government to remove illegally constructed buildings that were in the right-of-way of drainage channels in Mende area of Lagos mainland. And we have in the studio with us real estate investor and developer, Mr. Femi Rajas, to talk some more about what happened in this regard. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, Olumide.
It's our pleasure. Now, what are your immediate thoughts on what happened? The people who have house structures in those areas said, rather the government say that they were given adequate notice. But one wonders how they got to build in that area in the first place.
So this is not unusual, even abroad, where people build, they contravene the law. Sometimes, you see, there's a difference between getting a title for a property and getting an approval. You can have a title on a property where you're not allowed to build certain structures or not even build a structure at all. Okay. Now, from what I heard them talking about on TV, there was no approval from the local government, and they went ahead and built. So clearly, they contravened the law. I believe the law should be upheld. You know, this is very important for investors that are coming in. They want to see a stable environment. They want to see a place where there are regulations, and they want to see a place where, you know, there is law and order.
Right. Now, in your opinion, as a property developer who should process the necessary permits, who should process the necessary permits? Is it the developer or the property owner, or both? Or do they have to work as a team to get the papers?
Either can process it. Anybody can process. I can give you the right to go process my permit. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a permit, as long as the local government has seen your design and they have approved it. So your architect, the builder, the owner, any one of them can process it.
Now, we understand that some of the affected residents claim, and they actually presented what they claim is valid documentation. Maybe it's what you call the title and not the approval. But the commissioner faulted that about how those documents were obtained.
So when you are talking about valid documentation, I heard them talking about title. Okay. Like I said earlier on, you can have a C of O on a land. So most cities have a master plan or a cadastral or zoning where you're allowed to build certain structures or not allowed to build certain structures. In this case, that was a right of way. There's an easement. Even on an ordinary land where you have a land, just a simple land within an estate, there are places where you cannot build. So the first thing you do is you get a survey. The surveyor is going to go on the master plan and look at where you can build within that space and tell you, okay, this here, there's this easement here. You have to, you know, respect 25 feet or, you know, from the road, and this is the spot you can build. If you have gotten a survey, you'd have seen clearly where you can put your structure. Now, if you put your structure out of that area, you are contravening. So, you know, that was a right of way. The implication of building in that area would be very massive in the future if they don't take out those buildings. That's my opinion.
What do you think then should be the standard for the removal procedure, for the removal of such structures where valid documents are presented?
If there was a valid document, the government has to compensate because they made a mistake. But it's not even in all cases. I stay in the US, and this year I'm aware of somebody that built about 10 townhouses, and they have to demolish those townhouses. Why? Because he got an approval from the city, but after he has finished completion of the building, somebody in the neighborhood sued.
What city is this? What state?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, okay.
So somebody in the neighborhood sues and said, look, our HOA, we have a HOA policy, which doesn't have anything to do with the government. Okay. Right, saying that, look, you cannot build this kind of structure. The man has gotten an approval, he has built, HOA went to court and said, look, you have to demolish. So, you know, and sometimes, even the city himself, they are not clear on what the law says. Some of this law has been made years before. Some of this issue of deed has been made years before. You have to employ a lawyer to look at the deed. What can you do on this place? There's an argument between you and the city. You're looking at it, okay, can I go to this extent or not go to this extent? It's not clear. The most important thing is that we must put in place rules and regulations. You must follow processes. You must get approval. And that way, we will mitigate a lot of losses.
Since you operate in the United States as well, what How, if you juxtapose both areas together, what lessons do you think can be learned? What values exchanged?
The difference between Nigeria and the US is they have processes. And, you know, they didn't start doing this today. They've been doing this in the 16th century, and they've reviewed and reviewed. They've had all the issues that we have. This is not uncommon, having people build on a place where there are easements and they have to destroy it. What they do is they go back to their drawing board and they see how to prevent this or mitigate it or reduce it. The problem I see here is, why is the government implementing this way after these people have completed their construction? Therefore, you know, making the laws much more than what it should have been. They should have enforced this earlier on when they were doing foundation, and that happens all the time. It's not a big issue.
And since you've actually lived in the Mende area of Maryland, Lagos, you're quite aware of the lay of the land. Can you tell us a bit more about that? I'm
familiar with this. I've not just lived in Mende. I lived in Ogudu, which is on the opposite side of the road, of the river or the pathway.
Yeah.
And I'm aware people are building. They've been building there, and I know they didn't get a permit, because I was going to buy land there some time ago, and I found out that the local government was not giving a permit to build, and that's why I never built.
So who gave them the title?
The what?
Who gave them the title?
So there's a difference between title and permit.
Who gave them the permit?
They didn't. From what I heard them talking about, they don't have a permit. They have a title. You can have a title for the river or whatever you have a title for, but the permit department is going to say, we cannot give you approval to build. What happens abroad is, the way they have mitigated it abroad is, it's easy for you to go online and look at the master plan. Even when I want to buy, all the time when I'm trying to buy it, I buy land all the time. First thing is, when I get on a contract, I go to some certain website, city website, to see what is going on. Are there easements? Can I avoid some of the easement? How many houses can I build? What can they allow? They are on the deed. They are on the master plan. So we make a decision right there. Let's buy the land. Because immediately you buy, you can't go back. So you have to do some research. Government have to put in place all these kind of things so that ordinary people can go online and see what is going on before they purchase.
We thank you so much for your time and coming on Newsroom Series today.
Thank you, Olumide.